Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our ISKCON official YouTube channel. Today I am going to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, 14th chapter, text 26. As I have said, from 24 to 29, the 6 verses describes how Bhakti is superior to speculative knowledge. So in this verse 26, it is said by Lord Brahma that Ajnana Sango Bhavabandha Mukhyo Do Nama Nanyo Strita Jnam Bhava Ajasrachityatmani Kevale Pare Vicharyamane Taranao Idahani. That means the conception of material bondage and the conception of liberation are both manifestations of ignorance. Being outside the scope of true knowledge, they cease to exist when one correctly understands that the pure spirit soul is distinct from matter and always fully conscious. At the time, bondage and liberation no longer have any significance, just as day and night have no significance from the perspective of the sun. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada Maharaj's disciples say that material bondage is illusion because the living entity actually has no real relationship with the material world. Because of false ego, the conditioned soul identifies himself with matter. Therefore, so-called liberation is simply the giving up of an illusion rather than release from actual bondage. Yet, even if we think that the suffering of material illusion is real and the liberation is thus a meaningful release from the suffering, the mere absence of material existence is still insignificant compared to the achievement of factual spiritual life, which is the positive eternal reality opposed to the negative illusion of material life. Ultimately, Krishna consciousness or pure love of God is the only significant, meaningful, and permanent status for every living entity. Since the darkness of night is caused by the absence of the sun, one should not experience night within the sun itself, nor would one experience individual days separated by nights. Similarly, within the pure living entity, there is no material darkness and thus no experience of liberation from such darkness. When the conditioned soul comes to the platform of pure consciousness, he becomes fit to associate with the Supreme Pure, the personality of God himself, and the Lord's own abode. So, Vishnu Thakur in Saraswati Santika says that this verse states that the ideas of material bondage and liberation are both illusions. When one is situated in transcendental knowledge, one knows that they are not different from each other. When one understands that he is a pure spirit soul, different from the external material body, then he is no longer bewildered by the illusion of material bondage and liberation. As day and night do not exist on the sun, material bondage and liberation do not exist when one understands the spiritual truth. Jiva Goswami in Kama Sandarbha says, falsity is explained. Atma refers to the pure Jiva of the previous verse and not to the Lord, since one considers ignorance, bondage and liberation only in relation to the Jiva. In this section, the Lord is referred to by words like you. Sanatana Goswami and Brihad Vaishnava Goswami says, release from samsara has been stated to be insignificant. This verse explains that liberation is not the goal of life. From true knowledge, Rita Gyam Bhavat, bondage and liberation do not exist. Actually, the two are based on falsity. When one reflects on Atmani, the eternal form of knowledge, Rajasrachiti, which is pure, that is Kevale, and beyond matter, that is Pare, liberation becomes false like bondage. For the sun, there is no night, and by thinking that there is no night, there is no day. With no sansar, liberation becomes insignificant. And this way, I would like to speak another verse, that is verse 27, in which the Lord says, Brahma, that Tvam Atmanam Paramatva Paramatmanam Evacha Atma Gunarbahir Migya Ahogya Janata Jada. And just see the foolishness of those ignorant persons who consider you to be some separated manifestation of illusion, and who consider the self, which is actually you, to be something else, the material body. Such fools conclude that the Supreme Soul is to be searched for somewhere outside your Supreme Personality. So in the purport, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada Maharaj say, the Lord Brahma is amazed at the gross ignorance of conditioned soul who consider Lord Krishna's supreme spiritual body to be material. Ignorant of the spiritual form of the Lord, such persons also consider their own material body to be the self, and therefore they conclude that spiritual reality is to be found somewhere beyond the Supreme Personality of Lord Krishna. Sometimes such fools consider Lord Krishna to be one of many individual souls who together constitute a single personal spiritual entity. Unfortunately, such speculators are not inclined to hear from the Lord himself or from the Lord's authorized representatives such as Lord Brahma, because they whimsically speculate on the nature of the Supreme. Their ultimate result is confusion and ignorance, which they euphemistically describe as the mystery of life. Sorry. So Srila Vishwanath Thakur in Sarartha Darshanika says, Brahma prayed, those who think they are knowledgeable of spiritual things, but are actually not, do not respect your transcendental form in Braja. As previously mentioned, such persons are simply beating empty husks. They think your supreme spiritual body is material, another manifestation of illusion. They consider the self, which is actually you, to be something material. Thus they search for the Supreme Soul elsewhere. Just see the ignorance of this fellowship. Sorry. The Vivartavadis are evolutionists, and Parinambadis, transformationists, debate about the material world instead of the perfect Lord. The form of this Chit Brahman is described in several verses of the Supreme Srimad Bhagavatam, so Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd Canto, 12th chapter, text 48, where it is said that Brahma is anyway, they are the references. I not have to quote those verses. So Brahma prayed, ignoring the spiritual statements that show Brahman as a body and exists in a spiritual abode Dhamma, people remain in darkness. They are so fallen that they accept a blind guru parampara and discuss Vivartavada. They are in the most lamentable of all lamentable conditions in my creation. So, Srila Sanatana Goswami in Growth Vaishnava Dosani says, of course, the same is stated by Jiva Goswami and by Laghu Vaishnava Dosani. And those who think of you, the Atma of the Atmas, only as a Jiva, are fools. Those who think of you, Paramatma, to be just a pure Jiva, Atmanam Param, will again become many materialists. The word Api means and. Sorry. The Lord is called Atma since He spreads everywhere and is like a mother. You are not sought externally in Vrindavan. Apunarvahir Mrigya. The syllable A in Apuna indicates a negative. They search internally for you as the pure Jiva. Aho express surprise. What ignorance of ignorant people. They do not seek out the Lord with astounding qualities mentioned previously. And this way there are so many purports. So I like to conclude here with a request to subscribe, share and like this our channel and get the blessings of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna